Hey, y'all. Welcome back to episode 2 of Sing Feng Shu. Wait, Sing Fu Shen. Sorry about that. Obviously, Mandarin is not my native language, and sometimes it's hard for me to remember the name of my own park. So today what we're going to be doing is working on the path, the basic path that I'm going to put in here, and then I'm going to make a dragon, the second big set piece for this area. You can see right here I'm making the path, and I wanted to make it basically in the shape of an 8 because I was going for a long time trying to figure out how I wanted to situate everything, and I decided that an 8 would be appropriate because it's a very lucky number to the Chinese people in Chinese culture. And here is something actually to show you that this is the Tengwang Palace or Tengwang Pavilion. This is the picture that originally inspired me. So you can see the red and the green and the flying eaves that we talked about. So I'm going to be making something that looks quite a bit like that for the station of the coaster that I'm eventually going to build. I hope to have some food stalls and so forth in the upper pavilions and make that area walkable. We'll have to see if my skills are good enough for that. So we finished up the path, and now we are starting on the dragon. Here we go. So first I'm just fiddling around trying to find some pieces. I found the little cookie with the icing on top really turned out well. It really made it look like the dragon scales, which I liked quite a bit. So for the next 15 minutes or so, you're just going to see me making this dragon. So I started out just making a basic path to follow while I was making it. And then I started bending, working with those art pieces to make the dragon itself. So one thing I should say about the art pieces, two things actually. First is I haven't really used them too much. I did use them a very little bit in the last build to make some very basic shapes. This is the first time I've ever done anything on this scale. It wasn't too difficult. The body obviously is fairly simple. I mean, you're just making a tube. That's not too hard. And just in case you're wondering why I didn't use the bended tube pieces in that are available in the art shape, there are two reasons. Because first of all, I didn't even know they existed, and like a dumbass, I was looking all through the art pieces, and I just had my mind set and made up that I was going to be using this circular piece to make this tube. So I just kind of looked right past it and didn't even see them until long after I had made the body. But then when I actually did pull them out, I realized that the radius of the curve was just a little bit too small. It would have made the scale, if you can believe it, too small for what I was going for. So turned out all right in the end. It took a little while, but I know those are there for the next time I have to do something like this. That's for certain. So as I said, this is the first time that I've really done anything on this scale with the art pieces. The tube was fairly simple to make. The scales were easy to make. I mean, it was time consuming, but obviously there's nothing too sophisticated going on here. So I really had a little more trouble when I got to the head of the dragon. That was when I really needed to start testing myself and learning how to use the piece as well. But overall, I'm really happy with how this dragon came out. It looks just about what I would want it to look like, considering it's in Planet Coaster using pieces that are nothing like what you would actually use to make something like this. So overall, I'm really happy with this. It's going to set in the little lake that we created at the very beginning. It's going to set on a little platform there, and it's going to be the main focal point when you come in the park. And I think it's going to look good. I'm going to make a little platform there. I'm going to surround it with some greenery, some potted plants, and so forth. I've got a whole idea of how this section or the entrance is going to look. I think it's going to be fairly simple. I don't want to say it's going to be a garden, but it's certainly going to be more green. There'll be some shops around, though. So I'm going to have to make some little pavilions for that. And that's what we're going to be doing, as a matter of fact, in the next episode. We're going to finally start putting things together. The last episode, we made the Paifeng, the entrance gate. This episode, we're making the dragon. We also have our hanging lanterns and walls. So I'm going to finally start putting everything together. in the main area entrance, and we'll have something to look at finally, except for these two pieces. So here you can see I just got out a one of the big wheels to use as a guide, as a reference for the circle. Didn't come out 100% perfect circular based on this because I started copying and pasting, but that's all right. It came out, it looks good to me. So one thing I did want to say, and I haven't said this, I'm surprised I haven't, but I started really YouTubing heavily in January of this year. And I wanted to say a thank you to all the people who subscribed and all the people who are watching. I really appreciate it. I've gotten, I think, about 50 or so subscribers since then. I know it's not a lot, but that's all right. I appreciate the fact that people are enjoying what I'm doing and are subscribing. So just a quick thank you to all of you who are watching, because I really do appreciate it. It makes me pretty happy. The only problem with that is that I got actually quite a few subscribers the other day when I made the Paifang the entrance gate to the park. I got a lot of people, and certainly that's normally well beyond what I normally do in Planet Coaster. I usually don't take that much time, or nor do I take as much time as I took with this dragon. So this means, of course, since all these people have subscribed based on that, then I'm going to have to up my game, I guess. I'm going to have to start not being so lazy and not always trying to take the quick way out or saying, that looks good enough. So hopefully the content will remain at this quality and improve, actually. I'm kind of digging making these things with art shapes. So I might just keep giving that a try and seeing what I can do with that. So, like I said, thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. Thank you for everyone who leaves comments and likes and so forth. I really do appreciate it, and it keeps me motivated, definitely. I've heard people say that on other channels, but it really does keep you motivated because sometimes you're wondering, does anyone even like what I'm doing or anything like that? And someone will comment or someone will subscribe, and it just gives you a nice perk. So thanks. All right, so now here I was this is me trying to not necessarily be lazy, but I was trying to see if there was any parts in the sets that I could use either as a guide or that might actually look good with the dragon. So first I tried that scorpion tail. That didn't work too well. And here I was trying just to try to taper off the dragon. That didn't work so well either. I finally did figure out what to do, and I just put, by the way, that little oval shape at the top for his head. I just put that there as a marker, just kind of give some scale and so forth. And in the background you can see that I actually made another dragon. I freeformed that one rather than using that template of the circle, and it didn't come out nearly as well. So I actually redid the body of this dragon because I wasn't happy with the previous version. So here you can see after I consulted some pictures of Chinese dragons, and they usually are in the shape like this. They're usually kind of snake-like, but then they have legs. Sometimes they have wings. I haven't seen too many with wings, but so I started. I was trying to decide how am I going to do the legs on this thing. This is where it started to get a little more difficult because the tube, like I said, for the body was simple. The legs and the rest of it, not so much. So I found these golden arms in the adventure pack and figured out if I just turned them backwards, they worked fairly well. And I could cover them up with the scales, and it gave me the basic shape of it. So this, I think, turned out all right, especially once I put the feet on and so forth. It looks all right, except for one thing, which I will show you and talk about in just a minute. So you see, let me finish this up. Here we go with these. These are supposed to be the dragons. These are supposed to be the dragon's claws, which I think the pieces work fairly well for it, but as my friend Randy told me when he looked at this, the dragon looks like it went to the nail salon because it's got red claws. I hadn't even really thought about that. I was just using the same colors that I used elsewhere in the the build, and now I'm just laughing my head off because I can't see anything but that. It looks exactly like he's got his toenails painted. So I went ahead and changed this. You'll see it when I do the beauty shots at the end. I changed those to golden, and they look way better. They don't look like he's been at the salon for a nice visit. So we're gonna finish up these feet, make sure he's able to walk around, and then we'll start working on his head. And this is the part where I was like, oh boy, what am I going to do with this? I have no idea what to do. Head and the tail, I was thinking I didn't know what to do. But I eventually got it down. I started with a basic shape, which you'll see here in just a minute. And then I got going, and as I went along, I got a little bit better, and I figured out how to do things a little bit better. So I think he did turn out pretty well. And incidentally, I need a name for this thing. I got to come up with a name for him. So I'm clearing all this out, and now it's time to start with the face. So I'm just putting some basic shapes here just to get an idea of what I want it to look like. I know I want his mouth open, obviously, because their mouths are always open. So I just started laying out the bottom portion of his lip with the basic, or bottom portion of his mouth, excuse me, the basic shape of what that should look like. Whoa, I guess my laundry's done. And then you see I had that snake in the background for a reference. I was trying to pull out everything I could just for a reference to try to get these shapes working right. So I got kind of off to a halfway decent start. You can see it's kind of bumpy and lumpy here, but it's a decent start. And then as I'm going along, it starts to get better. It really took off once I moved those two golden objects right there, which are the beaks, I think they are. I'm not 100% certain what those things are supposed to be, but I actually use those to make, and you'll see this in just a few minutes, I use that to make like a sort of mane for the dragon. And oftentimes right here is where it starts in the paintings of dragons in Chinese art. The dragons often have sort of feathers coming out around their head, or some sort of a mane around the front. So this actually worked perfectly. I wasn't even, I hadn't even got to the part where I was trying to think about how to do that, and it just kind of came along right here. So I end up making his nice little feathery mane. Here's his eyeballs. This came out fairly well. They usually have big, sometimes the kites and so forth have big protruding eyeballs as well. So I gave him some nice eyeballs, and I was trying to be creative with his eyebrows, because he needs some eyebrows to make him look mean instead of he looks kind of like a nice little Muppet here, or something like he's going to come and play with kids or something like that. So first I was trying with the skull, but in the end the pipe went out like always. That's a really useful piece in here, so you can see just by giving him some eyebrows, he looks slightly more menacing. Now we got to work on his bottom lip, which was fairly simple. I just basically turned this over, removed a few pieces, and angled it down just a bit, and there we go. And now you can see it's really starting to come together. And I mean, obviously it looks like something that was made in Planet Coaster. It doesn't look like a real dragon, but he does have some whiskers there you can see dangling, because the dragons in Chinese culture always have these really long whiskers hanging. And I gave him some horns too, just to round it off. So now here we go. We're starting on the tail. The tail, I think, still needs some work. I finish it up here. You'll see it, and you'll see it in the glamour shots. I think it looks just a little bit sloppy. I could probably do a better job on it. You can let me know, though, if you agree or disagree. I wanted, since I had made that mane, I thought, well, I'll make this tail and try to make it look like feathers coming out the back, too. And for a long time here, it looks really bad. And then finally, towards the end, I start to get it into some kind of shape. But I'm still not sold on it 100%. I might leave it in for now, see what I think about it, see if I get any comments, and then fix it later on, because I think I could probably fix it up. But otherwise, we're just about finished with our little dragon here. I'm going to come up with a name for him, and like I said, on the next episode, we're going to build a platform for him, put it out in the middle of the lake, and our dragon will be good to go, and we'll be ready to go on the next section of the park, I think. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take my time with this series because I want it to end up looking nice. So that's it for this episode. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, I will see you the next time. Enjoy the ride.